Hello everyone, welcome to the channel, a spiritual user manual for life. This channel is dedicated to reading, unpacking, and analyzing the text section of the book, A Course in Miracles. The objective is to extract valuable practical knowledge to help us live more fulfilling lives. While learning this school's curriculum, the sparkly version of the book is used. Knowledge is also drawn from the Seth books of Jane Roberts. To distinguish between the text and my commentary, the word text will precede the text. The word comments will precede the commentary. Note: as per the course, the voice of the text is that of Jesus. This video is for the section in Chapter 2, Healing as Release from Fear. It is Part C, the third of the section. The original plan was to divide this section into two videos, A and B, to keep them under 15 minutes. However, a third video had to be added to maintain this limit. Here's a recap of Parts A and B. Continuing on this journey of self-discovery, several ideas were introduced. The body is an aid meant to help us function and learn while here in this Earth School. Problems encountered in the body are not caused by it, but only experienced there. The mind is their source. An attribute of the mind is projection, its ability to manifest into reality its contents, these being our thoughts, beliefs, emotions, desires, and will. When these contents are about attack, not serving the greater good, or not in accord with the laws that govern the mind, they lead to miscreations or misprojections, which leads to fearful emotions. These show up as discomfort or illness in our body. This is how the body informs us there are problems with the mind's contents. This should prompt us to search for and correct the erroneous contents, which will heal the mind and the body. However, due to misunderstandings, distortions, and ignorance of basic spiritual truths, we do not go this route. Instead, we seek external solutions to heal the body, such as those provided by modern medicine, science, herbs, energy healing, and therapy. They provide relief and healing at times, but are not the true, consistent source of healing. Until we get to this more enlightened state, which is the objective of the atonement plan, we stay with these external solutions. Text: the healer who relies on his own readiness is endangering his understanding. He is perfectly safe as long as he is completely unconcerned about his readiness, but maintains a consistent trust in mine. If your miracle-working propensities are not functioning properly, it is always because fear has intruded on your right-mindedness and has literally upset it or turned it upside down. All forms of not right-mindedness are the result of refusal to accept the atonement for yourself. If the miracle worker does accept it, he places himself in a position to recognize that those who need to be healed are simply those who have not realized that right-mindedness is healing. Comments: we need to walk slowly here. It takes some time, realistically speaking, for anyone to get to an enlightened state that allows them to help others get out of their confused mental state. We can be of service to others at any time. However, to help others heal via the atonement plan requires us to first heal ourselves. This means to resolve the problems of our mental contents, have a basic understanding of the golden rule, the mind's ability to project, the power of thoughts, and the power of emotions. With this knowledge, we will be better prepared to help others. Text: the sole responsibility of the miracle worker is to accept the atonement for himself. This means that he recognizes that mind is the only creative level and that its errors are healed by the atonement. Once he accepts this, his mind can only heal. By denying his mind any destructive potential and reinstating its purely constructive powers, he has placed himself in a position where he can undo the level confusion of others. The message he then gives to others is the truth that their minds are similarly constructive and that their miscreations cannot hurt them. By affirming this, the miracle worker releases the mind from over-evaluating its own learning device, the body, and restores the mind to its true position as the learner. Comments: the only person you can heal is yourself. Full healing comes from correcting the contents of your mind, which only you can do. As the mind heals, so will the body. Helping others to heal, you can and should do. But you cannot and should not try to impose it on them. They will get there in their own time and place. Here's a little secret. There's a part of you, referred to by names such as Holy Spirit, Inner Ego, and Higher Self, working 24/7 to bring this understanding and a whole lot more to you. As you progress, your inner eye or third eye will open and accelerate your growth. Text: It should be emphasized again that the body does not learn any more than it creates. As a learning device, it merely follows the learner, but if it is falsely endowed with self-initiative, it becomes a serious obstruction to the very learning it should facilitate. Only the mind is capable of illumination. The soul is already illuminated, and the body in itself is too dense. The mind, however, can bring its illumination to the body by recognizing that density is the opposite of intelligence, and therefore unamenable to independent learning. It is, however, easily brought into alignment with a mind which has learned to look beyond density toward light. Comments. Many of us believe that we are physical bodies. This idea requires a minor tweak. Our bodies are extensions of our eternal selves. To quote Seth, it is where the soul meets flesh, the temporary extension into physical form to facilitate learning this Earth School curriculum. On our journey to becoming co-creators, for it allows us to experience the contents of our minds in a physical manner. Something of great value. Sometime in the past we got this twisted. That sent us on a dead-end tangent which we've not been able to reverse to date. Reversing this misunderstanding and getting us back on the right track is one of the objectives of the course. Text. Corrective learning always begins with the awakening of the spiritual eye and the turning away from the belief in physical sight. The reason this so often entails fear is because man is afraid of what his spiritual eye will see. We said before that the spiritual eye cannot see error and is capable only of looking beyond it to the defense of atonement. There is no doubt that the spiritual eye does produce extreme discomfort by what it sees. Yet what man forgets is that the discomfort is not the final outcome of its perception. When the spiritual eye is permitted to look upon the defilement of the altar, it also looks immediately toward the atonement. Comments. This part of the journey gets a bit bumpy. It is a necessary stage that we all must go through. The good news is that we are in control of how rough and for how long it will last. At some point, we will all have that moment. The realization, however dimly at first, that the world we experience, our relations with others, our physical, emotional, and even financial states, is not going well, does not bring us peace or happiness. That there's got to be a better way. What triggers this awakening is usually some crisis such as an illness, family breakup, death of someone close, tragic event, or financial problem. We begin to question everything. The old ways don't satisfy anymore. We seek for answers, understanding, not in the usual places. We become more open, more receptive to different and unconventional ideas. Seeking outside ourselves was preferred and a lot easier. But now, it is time, if ever so cautiously, to give this up. To look within. Take a critical look at ourselves, something we are not accustomed to. Usually, what we see at first will make us uncomfortable. Maybe we've not been that loving, friendly, generous, trustworthy person we thought we were. Maybe we've been a jerk or worse. The good news is now we are ready to accept this and do something about it. This is the first step on the road to healing. Now, the other parts of ourselves that we're not aware of, inner ego, higher self, guardian angel, and Holy Spirit, being some of the more familiar names, can get busy with the task of helping us heal. This is the atonement plan in action. Text. Nothing the spiritual eye perceives can induce fear. Everything that results from accurate spiritual awareness is merely channelized toward correction. Discomfort is aroused only to bring the need for correction forcibly into awareness. What the physical eye sees is not corrective, nor can it be corrected by any device which can be seen physically. As long as a man believes in what his physical sight tells him, all his corrected behavior will be misdirected. The real vision is obscured because man cannot endure to see his own defiled altar. But since the altar has been defiled, his state becomes doubly dangerous unless it is perceived. Comments. The more we understand and accept the atonement plan, the more our spiritual awareness will grow. This leads us away from relying on what we see to be the way things are. We begin to understand that they are the results, projections, of decisions made by us, individually and collectively. As such, they can be changed, with more thoughtful and enlightened awareness. We can make better informed decisions and get more desirable results. Next is, how do we spread this enlightened awareness and decision-making process to others? we keep working on ourselves, the better we understand the atonement plan and applying it in our lives, the better service we can be to others. This is also part of the plan. Text. The fear of healing arises, in the end, from an unwillingness to accept the unequivocal fact that healing is necessary. Man is not willing to look on what he has done to himself. Healing is an ability lent to man after the separation, before which it was completely unnecessary. Like all aspects of the space-time belief, healing ability is temporary. However, as long as time persists, healing is needed as a means for human protection. This is because healing rests on charity, and charity is a way of perceiving the perfection of another even if he cannot perceive it himself. Comments. This is a course in miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you may elect what you want to take at a given time. The course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. These are the opening lines of the course. It's a good reminder that healing is simple, free, mandatory, and not to be feared. Text. Most of the loftier concepts of which man is capable now are time-dependent. Charity is really a weaker reflection of a much more powerful love encompassment, which is far beyond any form of charity that man can conceive of as yet. Charity is essential to right-mindedness in the limited sense in which right-mindedness can now be attained. Charity is a way of looking at another as if he had already gone far beyond his actual accomplishments in time. Since his own thinking is faulty, he cannot see the atonement for himself, or he would have no need for charity. The charity which is accorded him is both an acknowledgement that he is weak and a recognition that he could be stronger. Comments. Here's something to ponder on. Charitable concepts that are beyond our current ability to understand. Altruism is the highest charitable concept I am aware of. If that is a weak form of love, then serious upside spiritual potential awaits us. The little of our Creator that I'm aware of is that it gives all to all in a maximal manner. That is, what we need and are able to handle at a given time. All that is asked of us in return is to learn its rules to the best of our abilities and return the favor, give the best of our abilities to all, in a maximal manner. Cannot go wrong with that. Text. The way in which both of these perceptions are stated clearly implies their dependence on time, making it quite apparent that charity lies within the human limitations, though toward its higher levels. We said before that only revelation transcends time. The miracle, as an expression of true human charity, can only shorten time at most. It must be understood, however, that whenever a man offers a miracle to another, he is shortening the suffering of both. This introduces a correction into the whole record which corrects retroactively as well as progressively. Comments. Another layer of the golden rule, we are here to learn. When we give miracles, we shorten time for both the receivers and ourselves. This is an attractive idea. Cannot say I fully understand it. But, at minimum, we do not create new situations to be atoned for in the future. Past transgressions are healed, and knowledge and love are shared, which promotes healing. Cannot go wrong with that, so we should do it. And to the best of our abilities. Enlightenment will follow as we progress. We continue on this path of self-discovery. More practical, workable ideas were presented in this section. The mind is the only source of creation. Any and all errors originate there, and should be corrected there. Errors in our mental contents lead to miscreations, which leads to fears. They show up as discomfort and illness in our bodies. The body is an aid to help us learn to use our mind. This is how it informs us of errors with our mental contents. Correcting these errors removes the fears, heals the mind, and in turn heals the body. Sharing this knowledge with others is the charitable thing to do. This is the atonement plan in action. Our task now is to put them to the test. Are they valid, verifiable, reliable? From my experiences, they are. However, each of us must come to that realization in our own time and space. Thanks again for joining me on this journey. If you've gotten any value from this video, please like, share, and subscribe. The next video will be Fear as Lack of Love.